Today, rising tensions in Washington take center stage as lawmakers press Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over a controversial National Guard deployment to Los Angeles.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Aguilar.
Thank you, Chairman General Calvert.
That's right.
Thanks to the witnesses for being here.
Yes, okay, Private, go ahead.
The clock's still moving, Mr. Secretary, I want to express my severe concern with the deployment of the National Guard in Los Angeles without consultation of the state of California. There have been photographs that have shown these troops sleeping on the floor and have not been provided fuel, food, or water by DoD. How long will this deployment last, and why were we unprepared to provide them basic necessities such as food and water?
The commanders and troops on the field are very well prepared, sir. They responded incredibly rapidly to a deteriorating situation with equipment and capabilities. We have made sure from the top down, as a Secretary of Defense who's been in a unit holding riot shields outside the White House during the chaos of the summer of 2020. I know what it's like to be immediately deployed into a situation like that. There are moments where you make do as best you can temporarily, but we are ensuring they're housed, fed, water capabilities in real time from my office, because I care that much about the California Guard and the Marines and the men and women who are supporting our ICE agents on the ground.
You should check
It's
with your
true
office.
every day, and that's a disingenuous attack that
last?
misrepresents how much we care about our troops
How
and
long
what
will
they're
the
doing to
deployment
defend ICE agents. I'm not going to take the fact that we don't care about the troops. Nobody cares more about the troops at the top than this secretary and the chairman and our
How long will
department.
the deployment last?
We stated very publicly that it's 60 days. Because we want to ensure that those rioters, looters, and thugs on the other side assaulting our police officers know that we're not going anywhere. We're here to maintain the peace on behalf of law enforcement officers in Los Angeles, which Gavin Newsom won't do.
What is the estimated cost of the deployment for the Guard and the Marines to LA, and where's this funding coming from? Will it be coming from quality of life programs that affect our service members or our families? If you want to wait till I finish
Before
my
I hand it to
question, such as updates, housing and barracks?
Before I hand it to Bryn, the insinuation that we're pulling money from housing and barracks in order to fund this is disingenuous and incorrect.
I'm just asking.
Bryn can give you the numbers, absolutely.
So the current estimated cost is $134 million, which is largely just TDY costs, travel, housing, food, et cetera.
Where's it coming from? That's the cost, but where's it coming from?
Their O&M accounts.
With the most recent deployment of the Marines, Mr. Secretary, what's the justification for using the military for civilian law enforcement purposes in LA? Why are you sending war fighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals. That should happen in any city, Minneapolis or Los Angeles. And if they're attacked, that's lawless, and President Trump believes in law and order. So he has every authority, and he has done mobilizing National Guard or active duty troops under U.S. code to protect federal agents in their job, which is exactly what we're doing, and we're proud to do it. We're proud to do it.
10 U.S.C. of the U.S. Code 12406 as a legal basis that the President used cites 3 examples and circumstances for the Guard: invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the President is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all 3 to me. If you've got millions of illegals and you don't know where they're coming from, they're waving flags from foreign countries and assaulting police officers and law enforcement officers, that's a problem.
The laws of the United States?
No, the governor of California is unable to execute the laws of the United States.
The President, you said all 3
governor
apply.
of the California has failed to protect his people, along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr. Secretary, that the orders for these purposes shall be issued through governors of the states.
You and I both know that President Trump has all the authorities necessary, and thankfully he's willing to do it on behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles, on behalf of our ICE agents, and behalf of our country.
We've also pulled $1 billion for the border as well, so this just goes into the same fund, 134.
Congressman, what's the
134 million? I was asking Ms. McDonald.
Okay.
134 million. 134 million goes on top of the billion that's been pulled for the
So
border?
the funding that was pulled for this year was largely in FSRM, and in this budget, we're actually looking to plus that funding back up to backfill that for our troops and for their families.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Valadeo.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, General. Thank you, Ms. McDonald, for being here.
What began as a routine exchange quickly evolved into a pointed interrogation about federal authority, state coordination, and the treatment of service members on the ground. If you find this kind of in-depth breakdown valuable, remember to subscribe for continued coverage. In the hearing, Representative Aguilar wasted no time raising what he called severe concerns over the federal government's unilateral decision to deploy the National Guard into California without consulting state leadership. His message was clear. Not only was the deployment unexpected, but eyewitness photos appeared to show troops sleeping on floors without adequate access to food, water, or even fuel. For many watching this unfold, the question wasn't just whether the deployment was legal, but whether it was humane. And if you're following this issue closely, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update. Aguilar pressed the Secretary directly. How long would this deployment last, and why did the Department of Defense seem unprepared to meet even the most basic needs of its own personnel? These were not symbolic questions. They cut directly to federal readiness, logistical planning, and the constitutional balance between state and federal authority during domestic unrest. Secretary Hegseth responded by insisting that commanders and troops in the field were well prepared and acted with remarkable speed in what he described as a rapidly deteriorating situation. His answer leaned on his personal experience, recalling the summer of 2020 when he himself was deployed near the White House during national protests. He framed the current mobilization as a difficult but necessary response to escalating conditions, emphasizing that rapid reactions often come with operational challenges. If you appreciate this type of contextual storytelling, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. But his explanation leaves broader questions that extend far beyond this hearing room. Was the federal government asserting a kind of emergency authority that bypassed state oversight, or was it simply stepping in where the situation demanded it? How does the military balance speed of response with the responsibility to care for its own forces? And what does this moment signal about the evolving relationship between Washington and individual states during national crises? These are not small matters, and this hearing marks only the beginning of what could become a much larger debate about domestic military engagement in the United States. As more details emerge about what troops experienced on the ground and how the chain of command handled the logistics, lawmakers are preparing for deeper investigations into decision-making, transparency, and accountability. If you want clear, thoughtful breakdowns of these issues as they unfold, be sure to subscribe so you can stay informed.